Our biggest problem ain't that we're splurging, is that every time we splurge, we're stealing from our descendants. You're giving them no inheritance to get started with. But the white child, they're starting out $100,000 plus, $1 million plus. And I think we have to become more strategic in the way that we do our health plans, as well as our life insurance plans. Because what I'm learning with a lot of these white folks, a lot of them are getting their first, what you want to call a shock of wealth through the life insurance policy of their parents.
Yeah, we talk about that too. Life insurance policy.
Yeah, so there's so many different strategies towards wealth that we're not even thinking about because black people, our selfishness. It's also based on our, what you want to call it, emergency consciousness, survival instinct. We're only worrying about our life. We do not think about those who come after us. Now, you got to realize now, when we got out of slavery, white folks been already building wealth for a couple centuries. We started behind the 8 ball. Okay? So you got to play catch up. How do you catch up with somebody who's 100 yards in front of you? You have to run faster than they are. That means we have to sacrifice our spending habits more than everyone else in order to catch up. How does a people who are at the bottom waste money more than people who are at the top? So not only are you not catching up, you're not even thinking about trying to catch up.
The blacker the berry, the more it can heal. We stay in tune with our ancestors so we can feel you're in the presence of a king. I ain't making you kneel. We took the project to the runway. Let's Heidi Musil, you get it? We do more than put up triple doubles, run a huddle, engineers, and we ain't making trouble. Well, only if it's good. Our time is coming soon. Before Mike moonwalk, we put men on the moon. Go ahead and cap that. Make something out of nothing, now that's black. Pray to God my people don't snap back. Superstition and avoid this black cat. I quote my mama proud cause I'm spreading peace. You didn't hear us struggle, so now we mumble on beats. Instead of hearing us teach, think of the things that we reach. Changing the world we preach, fighting new wars on the beach. My mind's a weapon, that's the only way I shoot you. So what you got to be scared of? I'm Black Future. Blacker than chitlins, blacker than hip-hop, blacker than Chadwick, blacker than Frederick, blacker than Denzel, blacker than Tupac. Check your history, cause we got stacks. The whole world's been holding us back. I'm celebrating, I'm black. Blacker than Michelle, blacker than Maya, blacker than Nina, blacker than Shirley, blacker than Oprah, blacker than Angela. Check our history, cause we got stacks. The whole world's been holding us back. I'm celebrating, I'm black.
Peace, everybody. It is the guy with the bow tie checking in with you live for this month's Professionally Black. Thank you, family, for joining us. We got a melanated panel of all stars here to my right, left, and all around me. And I'm going to say thank you wherever you're watching from. If you're team live, let us know in the comments. Your team replay, let us know in the comments. Thank you to YouTube for the folks that are there and my LinkedIn people. And also shout out our sponsor, StreamYard, for sponsoring the show. I want to introduce our panel real quick and again to the content. So to my right is Queen Latanya. Let us know what you do, Latanya. Oh, wait, you're on mute.
Yeah, it would be nice if I unmuted, right? My name is Latanya Moore. I'm a former federal government attorney. Now I am work as a strategic business advisor to service and product-based businesses in emerging industries like cannabis, cannabis, CBD, smart technology, alcohol and beverage, and also real estate development. I teach them how to build, grow, and protect their brands in the global marketplace.
Boom. Appreciate that, Queen. And then right next to you is King Muhammad. Muhammad, let us know what you do, King.
Hey, good afternoon.
Oh, you're on mute too. There you go.
Is it working out? We're good?
Yep, you're good. Yep.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mohammed Kumar. I'm the founder of InnoCares, and I also wear the hat of manager of Rise. So I'll be telling you a little bit about what both organizations do. So for Enough Cares, we're a behavior change platform for Black women, and we'll provide them doctors and other clinicians that are culturally competent. And for Rise, we support Black founders. There are about 120 Black founders that we support with a co-working space and all the resources as well.
I appreciate that, King. Let's go right below me to Queen Kizzy. Kizzy, go ahead, unmute and tell us about you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kizzy Parks, and I own several government contracting businesses, but my main passion is GovCon Winners, where I help service-based small businesses learn how to find, bid, and win profitable government contracts. And it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. And again, my name is Kizzy Parks.
Thank you, Queen. All right, dead center, the OG, Deethra. Let us know, Deethra.
Hello, hello, hello. I feel like I'm going to do an Erykah Badu intro. I am Queen Edge Snatchers, Miss Get You from the Cubicle to the Corner Office. I run a company called ExecuPrep, where we help organizations diversify and include top diverse talent within their organizations. And I also have a podcast called Happily Ever Employed, where I teach people how to not just have a career, but how to be an employeepreneur, where they manage their career like a business, get the job they want and the pay they deserve on their own terms.
I like that. All right, Marlon, representing from Texas. Let's get you off mute, King. There we go.
Yes, sir. You got me?
You're good.
Okay, very good. Good afternoon, everyone. Marlon K. Scott. I add the K because I found out there's another Marlon Scott in Houston. So if you don't see the K, it ain't legit. I am a wealth management advisor, helping those who are looking to get their finances in order. That clip before you came on was right on point. Don't just deal with investing, but we also look at life insurance and how that can be an asset. I know, Daryl, you and I have talked about that before. One of my main focuses is on the professional woman. Too long, women have been ignored in this conversation. We do not ignore you. We have strategies that will help and focus on those pain points that women have, like living longer, being caregivers, etc. We make sure that in retirement you're not eating cat food.
Appreciate that, Marlon. You know, Financial Awareness Month, we got to preach a little bit. And
Tattoo.
we have a little echo. Mute you real quick. All right, rounding us out is Ronnell, on site, as they say in the news, or on the spot.
Hey, you know how I do, Daryl. You know I'm on the go. Y'all know me. I'm a business, and this is what I'm about. I'm an evangelist for business. I do that through my consulting firm, through our business and bourbon brand. We just help people do better business. Help entrepreneurs learn how to sell their products. That's what I'm about, and I'm just excited to be part of this and hang out with some of my brothers and sisters and have a healthy conversation. So let's get this thing kicked off.
Boom, I love it. Well, so to start this out, thank you, audience. I'm going to catch you with some comments in a second. This is Financial Awareness Month, and the crux of this was Black Wall Street. Now, commonly Black Wall Street is known as Greenwood, but there are several technically Black Wall Street. So I want to open up. I know Ronnell probably is the most historical person I know from talking to him several times in this space. So Ronnell, when you hear Black Wall Street, what does that make you think about?
Not Wall Street. It makes me think about business, right? You know, I think it's because this is a term that everyone's familiar with. We use Wall Street, right, to refer to these communities where we were, self-sufficient and really, really prosperous. But I think you dropped a great video a day or two ago, Daryl, that really kind of explained hey, what these communities were really about. I'm here in Atlanta, which we had a beautiful community here in Atlanta, and Auburn, Auburn. You guys familiar with that aren't from Atlanta? Very much like Tulsa and so many other areas. Harlem, where I'm originally from, Youngstown, Ohio. We had communities like this all over the country, and what it was really about is great small businesses and educated folks and working class folks all working together and really doing something that was beautiful, man. And I think that, obviously things have. Am I breaking up a little bit? I might have to change my Wi-Fi.
I think we lost Ronell.
It's about the question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ronell. I want to have Muhammad jump in here because Muhammad works with the. I'll come back to you. I want to bring Muhammad in though because Muhammad's working with the Russell Center, which the Russell Center is probably Atlanta's best representation of Black economics being in play in reality. So Muhammad, kind of talk about your thoughts of Black Wall Street and what the Russell Center is doing to kind of bring that forward in the current age.
And so Black Wall Street for me really is the opportunity to really be able to be independent Black owners, right? And ensuring that we have the Black dollar rolling in and out of our community and circulating. That's what Greenwood represents for me. By the way, my background as well, I'm an MBA CPA, so I work with firms like EY, doing consulting, tax work, and as well as I was once a CFO as well. So the business matters. So our Russell Center, we support Black businesses, and some of these businesses are actually. I have one of their brand here, Positivity Water. That's one of our stakeholders. These stakeholders are. Some of them are in Walmart, but they're really generating revenues to empower not only themselves and their family, but as well as support the community as well. So the Russell Center is literally an opportunity. If you have a business idea from just an idea stage, or you have actually a product or a service, you can come to the center and be able to explore and actually innovate on that idea and build from that. Mm-hmm. We have support systems as well that support you. So we got Chase Bank as a partner. We've got all the relevant partners that support you with not just resources, but as well as capital and human capital too, to ensure that your businesses expand and there's a growth potential as well for you. So that's what we do at the Russell Center.
Thanks for sharing. I'm going to bring in some comments real quick to bring some brevity to everything. We have Diana jumping in from YouTube, representing from Tampa, Florida. Thank you, Diana, for jumping in here. We have Savita. She's out there in Hunty. Oh, she said yes, Hunty. Never mind. I'm saying that's the city. We have Rosalind representing from Canada. Thank you, Rosalind, for jumping in here. We have Robert Berry saying he's looking forward to this conversation. Who else we got here? We got Vaughn saying howdy. Yolanda Chin saying good afternoon. Thanks for jumping in, Queen. We have Stacy representing from Florida as well. We have Queen Mfuku. She's trying to jump in, but the internet's not working with her, so she's trying to jump in here. We'll see if we can get her on live in a minute. Richard Riley said very informative. What else we got? I'm gonna make sure y'all get seen because I appreciate you putting comments on here. We also have Doris representing from Sunrise, Florida. I've never heard of Sunrise, Florida, so thanks for jumping in here. And some favorite Black brands. I had people shout out their Black businesses. Richard put out their Dreamy Beads by Shea Crystals, richly balanced also. So check that out for some skincare products. And then we had also, he put Sip and Share Wines. Thank you for sharing that. And then lastly, we had Miss Cole. I don't want to mess up your first name, but Miss Cole said Positivity Water. She needs that. So, Deether, to kind of expand on that, you're in Georgia also. when we think about the Russell Center, just the history of Georgia, because there's not really mentioned a Black Wall Street in Georgia, but every state that had high Black populations had something like that. So when you think about Black Wall Street now and then, what comes to mind for you?
When I think about Black Wall Street for us, I think about what is possible. Oftentimes we talk about Black Wall Street, we talk about it reflecting on the past, what was happened, what was destroyed, what we no longer have access to. And because we think about it from a historical perspective, we often don't think about it from a futuristic perspective, i.e. what can we be doing? Places like the Russell Center, what does it mean for us to come together? Here's the deal. I have my notepad in front of me. As everyone was doing their introductions, the first thing that came to my mind is we're here to talk about Black Wall Street, something that we can create and recreate. So who on here can I work with? I immediately wrote down Kizzy's name. I'm going to be calling her after this because I do government contracting. I want more of those. Listen, I'm a member of the Black Bourbon Society, which was started by a Black woman, Samara. And when Ronell talked about bourbon, I'm like, wait a minute, what? And Marlon's talking about, okay, wait a minute, we can start doing this wealth building. So the first part of it is not just thinking about what has happened, but reframing our mindset about what can happen. And Atlanta is a great place for that. I go to the Russell Center. I've been to other networking spots. And all we do is sit around and look at, okay, how can we work together? Russell Center has programming. So we can meet other people and say, how can we begin to partner? But we have to start thinking about, as Black business owners, as Black entrepreneurs, as Black employeepreneurs, as I talk about, how do we begin to work together and stop doing things independently? Because our counterparts on the other side are very keen on partnering. Everything they do is essentially a partnership. And we think, oh, I can't mess with you because you might mess up. You know what? You might mess up. But guess what? We can fix that too. So how do we begin to work together to go further? As the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. We have to start doing that and going together. That's, to me, what I think about Black Wall Street.
And that's so powerful, Deidre. I think collaboration is so essential, right, for even business growth. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I think that's one thing here, hopefully everybody else across the panel can chime in here. Like, collaboration really expands your business. So for me, even beyond even the Russell Center, I own a company. It's a telehealth and wellness company for Black women, right? But really to ensure that we across here and all the businesses, how do we collaborate to expand our businesses? Or just really get to know each other to beyond outside of what we do, right, on a daily basis.
But for the other, I'm sorry, I didn't want to jump in.
Muhammad, but I got pieces of it. I want to bring Latanya in on this because you're coaching businesses all the time. And I think the issue... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, for me, when I think about it also, too, we talk about Black Wall Street and being consumers, because oftentimes we're told Black people are consumers as if it's a bad thing. We're the only ones consuming. But I also want us thinking about who and what we're consuming. And so we're always out there putting other labels out in front. You know, you got to have this label on or that label on. What labels are you wearing, and are they representing the community that you want to grow and build? I'm always keen on, if I'm wearing something, I want it to be, I did a whole TEDx talk. And in that TEDx talk that billions of people get to see around the world, my key thing was I want everything I have on to be made by a Black designer. I don't need to have on these other brands and these logos who aren't paying me and who aren't investing in my community. I can show you that I can look amazingly fabulous and fly with Black designers on. And so it's being able to think about, even when we are being consumers, who are we consuming?
That's a great point. Latanya, and I want you to jump in real quick, because you're coaching different businesses. I want you to put your take on that too, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I echo everything that has been said. You know, I think when I think about Black Wall Street and what it represents, like you said, in the abstract, it's really about like garnering or controlling our buying power and making sure that that buying power is actually building up Black people, Black families, the Black community. Because one of the things that we're in total control of is where we spend our money. And I think that's what Keisha was alluding to, like consciously saying, I am going to invest my dollars here versus there. It's interesting because the businesses that I'm focusing on right now in these emerging industries are ones that have been kind of traditionally closed off, right? Other people have been benefiting from Black people in with regard to the alcohol and beverage industry, with regard to the cannabis industry across the board. And I think that even in smart technology, right? These are the areas that I've decided to focus on, because in looking at things from a longevity standpoint, these are the emerging industries that we are, quite frankly, naturally good at, right? A lot of the major brands in these industries were all, the recipes, all of these things were started so many centuries ago, back in the day. And I think that we should be benefiting from that. And we need to understand that we can create, we can take the economy that we have created and make it benefit us versus continuing to benefit everyone else.
I'm playing MC in the background, guys. I don't think I left. I'm working on some technical things. Like Kizzy, you and I kind of met and talked about this more government contracts. That was a big issue that you're focusing on. People don't really get into government contracts. When we think about the government's kind of had a negative part somewhat in Black businesses to some degree. When you think about stories of like Central Park was a Black community before, and they decided to use eminent domain to make that a park. So when people aren't really utilizing these resources, what are some resources you can share with Black businesses that can kind of help them to get ahead like our other counterparts have used?
Yeah, I'll speak from a couple of different places. I mean, number one, something just to be really aware of is there are so many millionaires in the United States, and about 8% of millionaires are Black. And so what's really important is, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as a solopreneur, as a gig worker, are you investing your money? Are you maybe dipping your toe in cryptocurrency? Are you, do you have some kind of financial plan? Are you maybe involved in real estate so that you can build wealth? Because there's tons of free resources out there, like the Small Business Administration. There's also SCORE that can help you as an entrepreneur. And while these resources are fantastic, if you're taking all of your profits or you're draining your business and bringing on all of this debt, but yet you're wearing all these fabulous things and driving a luxury car, and at the end of the day, you're broke, I don't really know what else to tell you. There's no reason to be broke, right? Compound interest is one of the most amazing things out there. So I just really encourage everyone to really invest wherever you are, however you can, but at least invest and really work on building wealth.
So, Kizzy, I've got a quick question here. I know you're not supposed to do this here, but when it comes to
the host is off mute. Thank you, guys. Now, Marlon, no, go ahead.
Now, I think this is a part where Marlon around financial instruments.
Go ahead, Marlon.
What financial instrument, Marlon, then are out there and Kizzy, when it comes to investments? There's several financial instruments. You only mentioned real estate. What other financial instruments that people can actually invest in, right? Is it life insurance, for example, that makes up that portfolio of ultimately pushing you to being a millionaire, right? What other financial instruments are out there that people can take advantage of, no matter where the economic status is? I saw recently, as a gentleman, he said he made only up to $45,000 ever in his career, right? He made $3 million in investment, and part of those portfolio are like financial. He had a real estate, he had other types of financial instruments. For Marlon, what other financial instruments are out there that people can invest in? And Kizzy as well.
Yeah, great question, Mohammed. You guys hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, from an investment standpoint, I've got a slew, starting with your ETFs and stocks. ETFs are exchange traded funds, stocks, mutual funds, all of that. But before we even get to that point, the first thing you would want to do is see where exactly you are. And that starts with a financial plan. And then that dictates where you should go from there. But yeah, there's a lot out there, Mohammed, and I try not to overwhelm people with a bunch of different options, especially before I know what their balance sheet looks like. And that balance sheet starts with a financial plan. In other words, what are your assets? What are your liabilities? The difference between those is your equity or your net worth. That's the way corporations look at their businesses, and you as an individual should as well. Makes no sense for me to be making you 10, 12% here and you're paying Visa 18 and 19%. So we've got to start there, but we've got quite a few options. Life insurance being one of them that needs to be looked at more as an asset versus just a premium that you pay each month, because they have some now that are hybrids that give you tax-free income in retirement, that allow you to build a death benefit. Obviously, when you die, you're passing that on, and then you're also able to access that for long-term care purposes. So there's a lot out there that you can do, but it all starts with the plan. And by the way, Daryl, there's a long delay between when we stop talking and when you start. I didn't know if you knew that. Just FYI.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was going to piggyback on that too. I mean, this is Financial Awareness Month. That it's interesting that the tax code prefers life insurance in 5 different ways that most people don't talk about. So when Dr. Umar in that video mentioned kind of the infusion of wealth that the Caucasian generations usually get is life insurance because it's tax free, and that's something where I think Black people have looked at life insurance like a bill or an expense kind of thing versus thinking about the next generation. So Ronell, you just got back in here, you got a new spot for us. Do you think about that trend, generational wealth? You and I are about the same age. Generational wealth wasn't a thing that was said in the Black community probably in the 90s and 80s. So how do you feel that's going to help progress the conversation, having that catchphrase more so? How do you feel that's helped the conversation with the future?
Well, it's funny. I'm going to take this in a little bit of a different direction, because I want to know from the other folks on this panel what your experience has been. And this is kind of all intertwined. For those of you that have kids, I have a 17-year-old daughter who is about to graduate from high school, and we were having this conversation about reparations, and she was in the mindset of that, she doesn't need any of that. Yeah, she sees that, there could be a potential need for that, but she doesn't see any need for that. She wouldn't want any, right? And so this was an opportunity for me to educate her on generational wealth, right? And she doesn't want any of that because she's grown up in a, we'll say an upper middle class home, right? She's had everything she's ever needed. She's good to go, college paid for, all those sorts of things. But what she doesn't understand is that, or she does now after having this conversation with her, is that, her ancestors, my great-grandfather, great-grandmother, great-greats, all that, did a lot of free work, right? And were made some promises. And the power of generational wealth, if some of those promises, this isn't a debate on reparations. We're bringing this back around to talk about generational wealth. If my great-great-grandfather had some land, right, and not even expensive land, some basic land, right? They pass on, that land gets passed on, that land continues to accrue in value, and it gets passed on to the next generation. And before you know it, you're 3-4 generations down the line, and you've got something that's really substantial. You've changed the course of a family much faster. Like, we're behind, let's be honest, we're behind. Where my daughter is, we could have been
a few generations ago, right? But that's because of this concept of generational wealth. I think when a lot of folks that are non-African American think about generational wealth, they think about affluence. It's not about affluence. It's about basic stuff like what you guys were just talking about, insurance. These basic little things, and having something to pass on to the next generation to make it a little easier, a little bit better, put them in a better position, so that a few generations down the line, it's a total game changer. So again, my question, because I'm curious, and this is one of the things I wanted to know from the panel here, what has been for those of you that have kids, nieces, nephews, or have you had this conversation? What are they thinking? Are they thinking like my daughter? Like, what's the experience? Daryl, I'm starting with you. I'm sorry, I'm taking over your show just for a little bit. I'm starting with you, brother, because I know that you've got kids. So this is a conversation that you're having. What do they think about that?
No, you're good.
I will chime in on that, Renell. This is because my daughter's about the same age. She's 16. She'll be 17 in July.
Go ahead, panel.
She's going into her senior year of high school, and we've had these conversations, and they actually have a business, and we've talked about, I have my own business, and we talked about where I could be if I had that generational wealth. What does it look like for something to have been taken from a people? And what does it look like for people who have that? And like you said, I changed their mindset, because oftentimes when we think of generational wealth and even reparations, we think of affluence. People are trying to be wealthy, and it's like, no, I'm trying to be stable. I'm trying to be secure. I'm trying to have my daughter have her college paid for. I'm not trying to live in a big mansion over in Buckhead. I'm in Atlanta. I am just trying to say, you know what? I don't want to have to pay 6% on my mortgage when everybody else is paying 1%, or whatever the case may be. And even teaching them about what does it look like to create generational wealth. Even as you all were talking about investing, I teach them what investing is. And oftentimes in our communities, we know that real estate is a great asset. Oh my gosh, it's a great asset, but it's expensive. And when we think about getting real estate, I think, okay, I can't invest, but that could not be further from the truth. When we think about creating generational wealth, I teach them, okay, go to your community and see who's doing what. Because guess what? I can go to an impoverished community and find a young woman who is trying to start a t-shirt business. She's in high school, and say, you know what? I'll give you the capital to start your t-shirt business, which may be less than $1,000 if you give me 50% of your business. She could make a t-shirt business, $1 million business. Guess what? I created generational wealth for my family and her family. And so we start talking about this. I teach my children, let's step back from this idea that you have to have $100,000. You have to be able to buy Coca-Cola. Your friend in high school needs $50. You can work in your mom's company part-time and make $50 and invest in their small business, because they're going to, guess what? They're going to sell now and laters and brownies and stuff at school. They'll make a profit. They don't have $50. You do. You can invest in their business. You make a profit. It helps them. It helps you. And so for me, I teach them, it's not just about what you do for this family, but what you do for the community. And that's, to me, how we begin. I want my children thinking about generational wealth. If the community improves, we all improve.
And go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just very quickly, my son is older. He's actually 28, and really his entire life we've been talking about this, because my great grandfather was one of the few that got the 40 acres, right? And I remember him, right, as a young little girl. I remember him talking about, like, one of the things I didn't know my great grandmother. She died before I was born. But one of the things that they used to do is my great grandmother could read. So all the Black people who couldn't, that did have land, they would bring all of their mail, right? They had mail day, and she would read it, and she would say, this is what you have to do. This is what you need to go and do. And this is how much you're going to have to pay, and so on and so forth. So they had an entire community network to make sure that they helped each other keep their land. Here's what my great grandfather did not do, right? He split the land up before he died among his many, many, many children, but he did not help them understand the value of keeping this land in the family, right? My father was one of the last, I guess, descendants to have pieces of the property, right? And I said to my father, do not let this, look, it's road frontage. Look, here's the city, the county master plan. In 7 years, they're going to be doing this. Do not let this land go, right? But he did. And guess what they're doing? What I told him years ago that they're going to do. And so now the land is worth 100 times more than what he sold it for, right? So many years ago. And the point is, no one in my family has a piece of this land. My point is, my son was a part of listening to those conversations, right? And recently, the property became available for sale. And my son called and he said, we need to get our property back. I said, okay, let's do it, right? Don't you know we could not get enough family members to come together and get our land back? Because you know what they said? Why should I give you $30,000? Not I don't have it, not I can't get it, not any of this, right? Even in the face, right? How crazy is that? Like, even in the face of saying, do you understand not just what this means to our family, but what this is going to mean to my grandchildren, which I don't have any, and their grandchildren, and yours too, right? But you'll go buy a Birkin bag. And you think you balling. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you'll buy a $15,000 bag, but you won't come in with
Wait a minute now.
I mean, listen, I'm so passionate about that. The point that I'm trying to make, and sort of to answer his question, is that my son has seen firsthand, right? What happens, the effect of slavery, the effect of not passing down information and knowledge and education. And so for him, he like, look, where do I sign? I'm coming for everything that I got. He was like, at the end of the day, I don't know that I'm going to live to be 30 years old. And he's 28. And that's the reality for Black men and women in the United States. He was like, yeah, I don't know. But I tell you what, whatever it is, let me know, because they owe it. They owe it to us. I want to get paid the wages that my great-great-granddaddy never got. Yeah, I want it. I want it all. But I think that it's because he saw firsthand things, things that happen, and he was kind of exposed to that. And we talked a lot about the different things, and we shared a lot. And so I think his perspective is a little different than some kids that may be a little bit younger, although he kind of grew up a little bit, having a lot more than we did. And I'm sorry to dominate the conversation, but it definitely, I definitely think once you let them know, they are very clear on why reparations are important.
And by the way, like, I think Mullen, you asked this question. Mullen made a very good point earlier. It's part financial education, right? Really, the fundamental of financial education is taking an audit of where you are personally. So as a CPA, we go into these companies, we audit companies, right? And we look at their balance sheet, we look at their income statements, and then we make determination, right, on whether the company is profitable and what needs to be fixed. But really looking at your finances, how much debt you have, understanding some debts are good, some debts are bad. Then the leeway, if you have enough income, right, in terms of personal finance, you have enough income after you pay off all your debt, you have that extra income. Now you can think about, let's start investing, right? And then start considering what financial instruments are out there for investing. That is, it can be real estate. It can be real estate. It can be investing in stock. But you can assess which ones are what financial instruments are out there for you to invest in. But first, you have to be able to say, okay, get to a point that hopefully you're debt free. If you're not debt free, how can you use debt for the benefit of yourself, right? If you can use your credit, making sure that you got an 800 credit, well, how can you ensure that you have enough that good credit so you utilize credit to be able to actually generate wealth? So that it comes down to personal finance as well, and actually doing a financial audit of yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you
I want
100%.
to do a PSA real quick for
I
folks
totally agree.
here. As you look on the screen, Black Wall Street was most. Oh, sorry about the delay. Sorry about that, Latanya. The Black Wall Street was Main Street. It was Main Street businesses, barbers, dentists, hairstylists. It was Main Street. So as you look on the screen here, nobody here does the same thing. So one thing to recreate Black Wall Street and everything we're saying is reach out to people, give a shot to a black business. I mean, it's not always going to be the best, but white businesses have to happen too. We got to kind of let go of this stigma of that black business is bad because everybody here knows what they're doing. So if you got to talk about healthcare, call Muhammad, business coach from Latanya, D3 HR, right? Everybody here does something. So one thing to help when I hear from our Caucasian counterparts is what do I do to help? Give a black business a shot because much to what Dr. Umar said, we've been centuries behind. They had 2, 3, 4 centuries to build wealth on our backs. So now when it's like we got to keep talking about it because like, hey, we just realized we're behind. So when Latanya, go ahead. I know you're going to pick up something. I just want to put that PSA as people look at this panel, reach out to people in the comments and on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to address one thing, and I'm glad that you brought it up, and that's this concept of catching up, right? The reality of things is if you stop focusing on catching up and you focus on run your race with the tools that you have right now, right? There's not a gap unless we say that there's a gap, right? To me, it's insanity to believe that you are going to close a 400 or 500 year gap, right? I believe that if you say, okay, now look at this panel, right? You have people that are sharing their experiences, they're sharing their expertise. There's so much information out there. If you run your race and you start where you are, right, with what you can control, the gap will close for your family. One of the things that's available to us now that wasn't available before is crowdfunding, right? If we need to get little, Pee Wee out of jail, you're calling everybody. They giving you $200, $500 to go on his bail. You know what I mean? Like we will sell fish plates because we're trying to do the fundraiser. The point that I'm trying to make is that we know how to redirect dollars when we're willing to rally around something, right? That's all crowdfunding is. Right? You can get in on a real estate deal for $250, $500. I remember telling somebody like, look, you can invest in this if you stop eating at Starbucks for 30 days, like drop that money in a piggy bank, right? You spending $12 and $15 Monday through Friday at Starbucks.
Well,
that's $500. Like, girl, like you can invest in this. They're like, oh my gosh, girl, I got to have my Starbucks. Okay. Right? That's your investment. Like you're investing essentially in something that's going to be waste because it's going to be flushed down the toilet. And as graphic as that sounds, it's the reality of things. And so I think that if we look at some new tools that are available, right, that will help us in this quest to change our financial station, we would be in a lot more better position than just focusing on catching up.
And part of that speaks to what Muhammad, Marlon, and Renelle were actually talking about. It's the education component, because oftentimes we don't understand, we don't know that investments like so for example, I invest in stocks. When the stock market was going up and down and people were posting on social media, oh, my stock did so well today. Y'all, I didn't even go look. Because I'm in this for the long haul. If I check my stocks every day, I will lose my rack-a-frackin' mind. But in our community, we often don't understand that. So when Latanya's saying, hey, girl, don't go to Starbucks. Don't buy that bag, even if it's on consignment. Let's put this $500 in X. What she's thinking is, well, when I'm going to see my money? And when Latanya says you're not going to see that money for 10 years, but in 20 years, that's when you'll need it. You'll be retiring. Do you want to retire on McDonald's salary or on a CEO salary? And so in 20 years, 25 years, when you really need that money, that's when it will kick in. So part of it is not even a re-education. It's a simple education, like life insurance, as Marlon was talking about. So many people don't even know that Master P started his music foundation on a life insurance insurance policy. Someone in his family died. He took that life insurance policy, and now he is a multi-millionaire many times over, not just his children's children, and talking about creating generational wealth. Every artist that was on his label has money because of one person's life insurance policy, right? And so it's about this education. So if Nana got if Big Mama had a life insurance policy, when you get it, let's talk about education. What do you do with that? It may not be much, but $10,000 spent the right way could change your entire family. So now re-education, get life insurance, and the education of what do we do with that? So it's all about how do we begin to educate and re-educate ourselves about creating wealth.
And by the way, I'm gonna share here quickly. Open Nolan can jump in. So I'll share a personal example here.
Real quick.
Okay. You said something, Daryl?
Yeah, real quick, I want to bring in Miss Mfuko because she couldn't get on here earlier. I want her to share some insight because she's been heavily supporting in the comments. So, Queen, let us know what your thoughts are right now so we can get you involved in the conversation.
Thank you, Daryl. And I'm so sorry. I was having some technical issues, so I wasn't able to get on at the beginning. But anyway, I'm here now. So hi, everyone. I'm Ashani Mfuko. I am an anti-racism educator, digital marketing and branding specialist, and also a professional dancer. You may have seen some of my videos on LinkedIn. And I am loving the conversation. I absolutely am all about us coming together to bring back Black Wall Street the way we should have had it in the first place. It should have never been destroyed. So I guess my thoughts on this, so many of you have said so many great things already, is that we need to also make sure that we are creating multiple streams of income, because if COVID-19 hasn't showed us anything, it's showed us that what you think is stable may not really be stable, right? What you think is stable income may not be as stable as you thought it was. So the importance of having multiple streams of income is something that we all should definitely be prioritizing, because you can't build wealth, even if you have the knowledge, if you don't have the income, right? And you want to make sure you're having different streams working for you and having your money working for you, not just working for money all the time. So that's what I wanted to say. But thank you. I love this conversation, and I'm learning a lot from all of you. So thank you. And thanks for having me, Daryl.
Daryl, I would like to just jump in and add one little item.
No problem. And guys, the bigger thing about this is it's sometimes hard to take action because we siloed so much. Go ahead, Kizzy.
Yeah,
go ahead, Kizzy.
I just want to share that one other thing to take in consideration, it was also mentioned in the comments, is the mindset. You know, no matter how much education, desire, passion, faith that you have, if you don't have the mindset of that there's nothing wrong with money, it's okay if you have $100 million or you aspire to be a billionaire, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And so you have to authorize yourself to accept the fact that you are interested in growing wealth, or you're interested in learning more about stocks, or you're really fired up to have 10 different methods and income sources. So just authorize yourself and give yourself that permission that it's okay to not only accept it, but to have these conversations, and to have these conversations openly with others, and especially with other entrepreneurs.
And ask questions of your family, right? You know, oftentimes I know people that I know from other places, they'll say things like, oh yeah, my family supposedly owned 200 acres in South Carolina, right? Like they may live in New York. And I remember having a conversation like that with someone. I said, oh, whatever happened to the property? They had no idea. They didn't even know. They were like, you know what? Girl, I never thought about that. Yeah, you may want to find out, because it's probably heir property somewhere, right? Because a lot of people died that should have gotten it and they never signed their rights away. Like, these are literal things that you should probably know about. You know, my family on my father's side, on his mother's side, is going through that very thing, where the older people were afraid to go ask about the property because somebody was killed when they tried to take it, right? So it's like, oh, okay, so y'all just gonna let it sit over there? So these are things that we don't think about. We need to ask questions and find out what happened. Stop being so afraid and traumatized by the historical context that now you may be missing out on something that's rightfully yours and rightfully your family's.
And to piggyback on that, following the attorney talking about it, y'all, generational wealth, we got to have wills. We have to, and listen to me, everybody in your family does not need to get something, because there are some people that they ain't gonna do right with it. And so as sitting back, even as I'm thinking about what my children would get and creating wills for my family, I'm asking the
I would say
question.
more so a trust.
Oh, yeah, wills and trust. You're right, Marlon. It's wills and trust. It's not just wills. But all of that, as I'm thinking about who's going to get what, I'm saying who's going to be the best manager of that resource so that that can continue in my family. And so while my kids will get equal amounts of things, they're not going to get the same things, because I know what one is skilled at managing versus what another is skilled at managing. And so sitting back and saying, as I begin to think about what will happen with this when I'm gone, who and which one and how is the best way to make sure that this continues? Because here's the deal: what I'm working my butt off for now, what I left my good job and started this company for in 2007 that I've been working hard to build, and it's going well. I'm not building this for me, because I would have been fine where I was. I'm building this so that my great grandchildren will. I remember I was speaking at a keynote speaking at a conference one time, and a financial advisor said, you know what? He said, do you know your great granddaddy's name? And a lot of people in the audience said no. And he said, you know why you don't know his name? And we said, why? He said, because he didn't leave you nothing. That's why you don't know his name. And so I want my great grandchildren to know my name. And so when I'm thinking about the trust that we're creating with our attorney, I'm asking which one of them is best able to make sure that my great grandchildren can say, ooh, you know, grandma and granddaddy Giles. Ooh, they were some great people. You ain't never met me. You weren't even born when I was alive, but you know that I left you something. So when we're doing that, as Latanya was saying, who do we pass it down to? All 18 of y'all weren't qualified to get this passed down, but knowing, hey, even though I'm leaving you this, I'm teaching you to take care of the family. You're the best manager for this, but this is not yours. This is the family's. And so you're still responsible for taking care of everyone with this.
And Didra, when you said that, right, it's also self-education is key, but also betting on other professionals that have done it well, right? The financial advisors of the world, like Marlon, right? The lawyers of the world, like Latone here, right? The CPAs of the world, right? Because you only need a CPA to be able to actually help you in terms of your taxes and other areas of your business as well, right? Lean on these individuals, because these are the individuals that actually know, and they went to school for this. They've been doing this, advising other companies as well, and then lean on their understanding. So that you have that trusted advisors next to you to be able to help build your wealth and your family wealth as well. So lean on these people.
Hey, one thing I want to add really quick. I saw one of the comments, and the comment was, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not looking at it right now, but how do you balance having fun, enjoying your money, and creating generational wealth? Which I think is a fantastic question. First, I want to just challenge the concept of generational wealth and how we view that. I think when most people think that, they're thinking, that's millions of dollars and things like that, but that's not really how it starts, and it doesn't have to be that type of money. I will give you an example in my life. When my wife and I were married many years ago, her father passed away a month after we were married, and she was left with nothing, right? We paid bills. And, we were newly married at that time. If there was some property, if there was some insurance policies or something, they gave us something like, let's say, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, that would have been game changing for us. We would have taken that money and we would have invested it in property or something else. So when we think about generational wealth, it's really about using some of these vehicles that the other panelists have already mentioned that are experts in these things. Some of these vehicles like insurance policies, like trust, like business, starting a business, using some of these vehicles to have something to get the next generation started, and teaching them, and to Latanya's point, which was fantastic, educating them so they take what we're leaving for them and they do more with it. They build on that. That's generational wealth. That's how you create that, so that that 2-3 generations down, they're not thinking about any of the issues that we're thinking about or that our kids are thinking about. You know, it's a total game changer, but it doesn't have to be monumental task. So enjoy your money. Lord knows I've done it. I've enjoyed my money, but I've also put some things in place to help my kids, and hopefully their kids afterwards.
And Ronell, over there, I think.
Yeah, I think part of it too, when I think about it, a lot of us, we're all similar in age. A lot of us get trained kind of to be an employee, and not to kind of go against what Deether, and sorry about the delay, guys. I know Deether's teaching how to be an employeepreneur, which is helpful because most of us get taught, get a good job and retire, get a good job and retire. So it's kind of like the middle is skipped. We skip that conversation of, well, how do you get to the retirement part? Like, I know you get a good job and you work a long time, but what happens there? So I'm glad everybody's bringing this up because those conversations don't happen a whole lot in the Black community, where we talk about investing and, you know, life insurance. That doesn't come up. It's really uncomfortable for us because we weren't taught that way. So I don't want to be too much into people's time. I know we said an hour of this, but it's a very juicy conversation. But I want to do closing parts because everybody here in the panel, in the audience, people in the replay, connect with these people. Please make action out of this. Try a Black business. Ask them questions. Just collaborate. You don't have to spend money necessarily, but collaborate. Deether has been big on this, collaborating with people. Just do something together at the end of the day. That's the minimal thing you can do. Say, hey, let's get into Zoom and talk about what you do. Maybe I can introduce you to somebody. Just do something. But closing wisdom for how to recreate Black Wall Street in the new virtual world. I'll start with LaTanya.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what you said. You know, a lot of times it starts with forums like this, right? Where someone like yourself pulls together, you know, a group of people that you believe in, right? A group of people that you endorse that can start working together. I know for me, there's about 6 or 7 people, you know, we all, you know, we like to say we're experts, right? And we are, right? We're experts in our fields. But one of the things that we decided to do was to actually link up together. We meet monthly, right? And literally just kind of pour into each other. You know, we're not charging each other for this monthly meetup of sharing information. Someone will call and say, hey, I'm doing this. Do you know anybody? Right. And so just that introduction, I'm not saying, well, yeah, I know him, but it's going to be $2,000 for me to introduce you to Daryl. Like it doesn't necessarily work that way. Right. So for me, I think collaboration is important. But I also think access to resources, information, just, you know, giving people a little bit of guidance in the right direction. Now, I say that with this caveat, though. There have been times that people have introduced me to clients. I made a lot of money on that client. I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, I have something for you because I appreciate you for introducing me to this client. So that's sort of like an unwritten rule, I guess, that we do, because I just believe that you take care of people that sowed into you, right? When you get the harvest, you know, give them some. But that, you know, I think for me, I think that's where this concept comes from. I think that as Black business owners, customer service has to be at the top of the list. So that we can be a part of changing this narrative of not providing quality service and not being able to work together. But it starts with groups like this connecting, sharing information, sharing resources, and providing support.
All right, Mohammed, you're up next.
Yeah, so I wanted to address the question that was asked earlier. How do you allocate for fun, right? This is part of what Marlon was mentioning earlier too. When you do a financial audit of yourself as an advisor, right, you've got to ensure that part of what you're going to allocate on your daily spend, monthly spend for your household will be vacation or whatever you call it, fun, right? You can allocate for that. So you can still have fun, just allocate for that to ensure that you don't go out of budget. Even the multimillionaires, they have a budget. Companies have budget, and you just stay within that budget, and then monthly you kind of audit, right? This is what I've spent. Yeah, here's what I project, and where are the variances? Where did I spend too much, right? That's a little bit of your financial audit for you, right? That's what companies do on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and you can do that for yourself as well in your household. Parting wisdom for me is literally the fact that utilize your network, the people that you trust to be able to build financial wealth. I know, and then as well, so for Russell Center, always can come here. I'm here I support Black businesses. My experience is it varies, right? For me, I was with the big four accounting firms. Then I started my own healthcare company, Enough Cares, after my sister passed during childbearing. So I own a mobile app. I actually own a tech company, 2 mobile apps that I sell to doctors. So if you need to be well and be mentally and physically well, I can support you in that, right? But also work with a bunch of Black founders. So hit me up. I'm always willing to talk.
All right, thank you, Muhammad. I'm going to jump down to Marlon now. We're on the circle this time. Marlon.
Oh, okay. You surprised me there. I thought there were 2 other people in front of me. Appreciate the opportunity, appreciate the conversation. Always good to be in a group of like-minded individuals representing different industries, different thought processes. It's just always good to be in a good group. The parting wisdom that would come from me, other than obviously call me for help, and let's get that financial plan in order, and then see where we can go from there. But also so many good gems out there. Specifically, what Ronell was talking about, generational wealth. It doesn't have to be a multi-million dollars, but at least make it something, 5 or 10 grand, something to cover burial costs and funeral expenses would be nice. So a simple, non-expensive term policy at a minimum should be done by everyone. No need for GoFundMes with our families. And then when we've got well-intentioned relatives who want the best for us, but have different experiences in their lives. They may have actually been in Tulsa or in the area when Black Wall Street was taken down. But watch what you listen to. I tell people to stop listening to people that don't have any money, right? They cannot give you the advice that you need, okay? So well-intentioned, but not what you need. That's it. And I am, again, my name is Marlon K. Scott with Wealth Standard Financial. Please check us out on our website, wealthstandardfinancial.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn for sure. Thanks again, Daryl.
No problem. Thanks, Marlon. Sorry for the delay. I had to keep accidentally talking over people. Queen Ashani, can you let us know what's going on as your parting words for the group?
Thank you, Daryl. And again, thank you for having me as a part of this discussion. I have learned a lot, and it's been very enlightening for me. So 2 things that I would like to leave everyone with is, a lot of times as an anti-racism educator, people will ask me, well, what can I do? What can I do? How can I help the Black community? And one thing that I always suggest is, we have to follow the money, right? So you need to be spending money with Black-owned businesses. But here's the caveat. You don't have to spend extra money. You're already spending money every single day on various different items. So find a Black-owned business that provides exactly what you're already spending your money on, and spend that money with them. Okay, very simply. If you like to wear makeup like me, spend money with the Lip Bar, right? That's a Black woman-owned business. If you're into skincare, you can buy your skincare from Shop Holistic. Shop Holistic is a Black woman-owned skincare company, right? So where you're already spending your money, just spend it with some Black-owned businesses. You don't have to do anything extra or additional. And the last thing is that you want to blast the good about those Black-owned businesses with that same energy that you typically would blast the bad stuff, right? You have one negative experience and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe, right? You're on Facebook, right? So blast the good things about Black-owned businesses that you're supporting instead of just talking about the negative stuff. So that's what I would like to leave with everyone today. So thank you again for having me. And I have enjoyed this conversation so much. Thank you, everyone.
No problem. Thanks for joining us, Queen. I'm going to go to Rhonell, then Kizzy, and then Deetha will close us out. So Rhonell.
You got kids in the back. Love it. Marlon, you had me cracking up. You had me cracking up. Listen, God, so many things I could say and so many things I want to say. First and foremost, really appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you wonderful people, so many talented people, really smart folks. I think there are some different perspectives on some of these things, and we come from different backgrounds. I've got some different perspectives on some of these things, but we'll do that on another Professionally Black. What I want to leave with you guys today, and I think your initial question in terms of closing and leaving was getting back to Black Wall Street. We're calling it, and it's been called Black Wall Street, and so we have this picture in our head of stocks and all this other stuff, but that's not what it was. It was small businesses. Small businesses. So what I want to leave with everyone that's watching this is start a business. Okay, everyone that's on this panel are all business owners. Start a business. There is no greater investment in terms of return than business. And my CPA folks, I know y'all check me on this, right? Y'all check me, but it's the truth. You'll get no higher return than a business, right? So start a business. And when you start that business, and I'm talking to you Black folks, when you start a business, focus on being the best business that you can be. Focus on providing the very best service, the very best product that you can provide. Making sure that you serve at the highest level, and don't. Here's one of the things. I might get some pushback, but I don't care. Here's one of the things I hear a lot. I'm in Atlanta. A lot of folks put their shingle on being a Black-owned business. A Black-owned business. Come do business with me. No, focus on doing great work, on providing great service. That's always number one. Always number one. And if people want to support you because you're a Black business, fantastic. But we're in a global economy right now. We're in a global economy. You can do business with anyone on the globe. I do business with people all over the globe. And I don't care what color you are. The money is all green and the checks all cash. And I love all of you guys out there that do business with Business and Bourbon, Rhonell Richards. Y'all want to follow me? Go to businessandbourbon.live. Please join as a member. If you're not a member there already, our focus is to help people do better business. Businessandbourbon.live. Become a member. I know most of the folks on this panel are, but those of you that aren't, get on there. All right. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate that right now. Bringing the fire to close us out, Kizzy.
Well, I just, there's so much to add. Wow, there's so much to add. So I want to echo, it's not only about like not hanging out with broke people, but there are a lot of people that you think are maybe wealthy or, I don't know, well off, and they're really not. So what I really encourage you to do, read Think and Grow Rich. Go on to Reddit. Go and find Discord groups, because maybe those around you don't have the resources or the wealth that you aspire for. And I remember reading in the comments, somebody said it's really challenging for them to maybe help their daughter or son really understand wealth or to see wealth when it's not really around them. Go on YouTube, follow someone who inspires you, who legitimately is doing those things that you want to do, because the more you surround yourself with people that help rise you and increase you, it's going to authorize yourself to do so many amazing things. So don't let all those people pull you down. And always remember, everything is possible. That's what I always say to everyone. You find me here on LinkedIn. I'm always here to help. However I can be of help to you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Dr. Kizzy Parks, and I go by Kizzy. Thank you.
Thank you, Queen. And last but not least, the Queen of Frames. I think we got a frame battle with Ashani and Deethra, but Deethra, closing words.
I'm like looking at the shiny frames like, oh, I'm gonna hit sis up. I need those frames too. But here's the deal. One of my favorite quotes of all time. It sounds crazy, but I'm a sci-fi geek, so I'm revealing something to you. Yoda says, "Do or do not."
So we lost Deethra.
I'm here.
It's just me.
It may be just you, but Yoda says, "Do or do not."
Right,
there
guys,
is no try.
I think the internet gods are hating on me in the last few seconds. I'm not hearing Deethra right now.
I hear you. Can you all, everybody else in there,
Okay.
Give me a thumbs up if you
folks,
hear me.
thank you for joining us from Freshly Black. The internet was hating on us a little bit here. Oh, wait.
We hear
I think I got Deethra back.
Okay, yeah, I think it's your delay, but really quickly because they don't want us to be great. It's okay. We see how this works. But anyway. But Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. And when we talk about trying to create Black Wall Street, as Ronell said, trying to create Black businesses, trying to invest, we just need to do it. And it's about reframing what we think is vital and what we think is important. Listen, I remember an old song, I'm going to tell y'all my age, but the chorus is like, Gator boots with the pimped out Gucci scoot, ain't got no cash, but I'm still fly. Wait a minute, you're not fly. You're broken. You're perpetrating a fraud. We have to change this narrative of looking good versus being good. Change our mindset. And it's not just us. Recognize that we have been miseducated and re-educate ourselves about what is good, what is investing, what can we do. As Ronell said, you don't need $1 million. You give your kids a good education and 10 G's, they'll be set for life. So really start off, I'm an action person. The first thing we have to start off with is education. If you look on YouTube, there are so many series, educations at our fingertips. I'm an adjunct faculty at Mercer University. I value education. I teach, but here's the reality. There is so much education that's free that we are not getting. Marlon would love to sit down with you and talk about how to invest. Daryl would love to sit down and talk to you about your benefits at work and how you're missing money and leaving money on the table. Latanya would love to talk to you about how to brand and properly secure your business. Kizzy would love to let you know about, hey, this is how you can get government contracts. And Shani would love to tell you, listen, this is what you can do to start getting in the community. People are willing to give you free information all day and every day. Get the information, but don't just get information, do something. As I said, do or do not. There is no try.
Well, thank you, folks. Again, apologize for the delays in the Wi-Fi. I should get direct connection going forward. But I appreciate everybody here. Please share this with folks that need to hear about this. If you have people in your network that will benefit from this, or friends of yours that are like, I don't know, a financial advisor or a HR consultant or anybody on this panel, please share this with them. And we will catch you guys next time on Professionally Black. And hopefully the internet will not have me delayed 10 minutes after people talk. Thanks, folks. Please be safe.